like, share, subscribe. Shouts out to the Lions Den community. And don't y'all forget to subscribe to the podcast show. Link will be pinned in the top of the chat.
Just name the channel who could bang with us. I'll prove that you are smoking dust. GGB Media is top notch in this game, y'all. You failures only have yourself to blame, y'all. Ticket TV and A weapons make you suckers cry. Why don't you close your channel, crawl into a hole and die? Shout out to those who love our movement, no, we'll never flop until you get your mouth on LGBT. We are the underground outfit, y'all. We built this whole thing by ourselves, no in y'all. Independence start with self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how can you build a nation, y'all? Yup, we got that merch for the ladies and yes, we even got that merch for the babies and we got appliances and everything that you will need. We got some banging songs that make anemic haters bleed.
All right, you guys, so salute everybody tapping on in this morning. Y'all press 1 if y'all can hear me in the comments. Got a mic check real quick. Press 1 if y'all can hear me. Shouts out to A Weapons on the track. Make sure y'all click that link in the description box below this video and go buy the album. A Weapons the Greatest has this track that y'all hear on the intro and a lot of other music, R&B music on the album. Is A Weapons, man, is an absolute monster. So salute to the brother A Weapons for blessing the channel with the track years ago. He's given us a few tracks for our intro, so salute to him. And also make sure y'all hit those other links that are down there if y'all want to support the channel. Salute to everybody that's been in the Cash App, PayPal, subscribe to the podcast show, or gotten a free membership at the website, or when they got the weight loss formula, right? So we appreciate all of y'all. Look, let me come in here. I had to clean some stuff up because last night I came in real late because this filing was late on the East Coast time. West Coast time, it was around 9 p.m. It was around 8:59 p.m. that this came out. West Coast time. East Coast time was around 11:58 p.m. right at the deadline last night. So the Feds playing games with Diddy, the same way Diddy came out late with his filing at the last hour. The Feds clapped right back at the last hour. Here's the situation that Diddy got horrific news. Diddy is demanding a new trial. He's demanding to be released. He's demanding to be acquitted on all charges. Diddy and a lot of people have been speaking about, a potential pardon for Diddy, Trump coming with a pardon, Trump coming with a pardon. After what I discovered in this new paperwork yesterday, I think that Diddy's chances for a pardon have been substantially destroyed. Now, you can ask me, why do I say that? Well, you have to look at the two men that's on your screen. And I think this is the part where people really misunderstood me last night. The man on the left-hand side of your screen, you already know who he is. That's Donald Trump. That's the current president of the United States of America. That's the man on the left-hand side of your screen. The man on the right-hand side of your screen is Jay Clayton. Jay Clayton is the new acting U.S. District Attorney in the Southern District of New York. Donald J. Trump fired Maureen Comey. And I think that I'm going to tell you what's going on, and then I'm going to tell you what I think, because I got a hunch about this whole situation. Trump appointed Jay Clayton on the right-hand side of your screen to the SEC back in 2017. So this guy, him and Trump have a close connection. Trump appointed him to the SEC in 2017. And in this year, 2025, Donald J. Trump appointed this guy to the United States District Attorney in the Southern District of New York. If Trump wanted to pardon Diddy, why would he put his man in this position, Jay Clayton, and have his man come out last night in a scathing report and not only say that they are pushing for rejection of bail for Sean Diddy Combs because they believe he's a danger to society and he's a flight risk. Everybody says, why would he be a flight risk if he's only going to do minimal time? That's because they don't have minimal time plan for Diddy. They're going for the long ball on Diddy, the government. And it's led by Donald J. Trump's guy, Jay Clayton. Now, for you guys who don't know, once again, I told you this last night. I'll refresh this again in this video for you. Jay Clayton is the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York since 2025. He is not a registered Democrat or Republican. He has been described as a political independent. During his tenure as SEC chairman from 2017 to 2020, appointed by Donald J. Trump. Now let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. So in 2017, he was appointed as the SEC chairman by Donald Trump. Donald Trump fired Maureen Comey a couple weeks ago. She was the one that was helping lead up on the Diddy trial, where everybody was so upset and said, man, she didn't do her job, this, that, and the third. And everybody thought when Trump fired her, it was because he was clearing the path to pardon Diddy. That does not look like that's the case, because Jay Clayton was appointed as the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York by none other than your president, Donald J. Trump. Let me clear this up for people who didn't understand what I said last night. The man right now that just wrote that scathing writing last night that nailed Diddy's ass to the wall was just recently appointed as the new guy in charge down there in the Southern District of New York by Donald Trump. If Donald Trump did not want Diddy doing harsh prison time, if he did not want this guy going in on Diddy and people, why would he put this guy in control of the Southern District of New York? I have my thoughts, and I'm going to tell you guys right now. I don't think Trump likes Diddy at all. I think Trump said that because I think Trump just said something to put it out there in the public like, I'll look at it, this, that, and the third. I think Trump despises Diddy for what he said, and he saw that Diddy try to destroy him. I believe that Donald J. Trump, by appointing Jay Clayton, does a few things. First thing I think it does is it gets somebody he appointed to see all the evidence that was not included in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. See, people can think one thing, and I'm going to tell you guys something. When I come on the internet and I say information, I put paperwork, real paperwork out here for y'all to read this stuff, right? I go into case filings, I actually do my diligence, read the paperwork, and I'll put the screenshots on the screen and give you guys places where y'all can go actually look up the paperwork because it's public information. See, Roger Bonds, who was Diddy's bodyguard for a while, went on DJ Vladimir's YouTube channel and said that Diddy and Donald Trump used to have meetings, long meetings, where him and Donald Trump's security would sit outside waiting for them to. They'd be in there alone having long meetings. It was also stated in the trial numerous occasions that Diddy was having these freak-offs, a lot of them, in the Trump hotel. Well, when Maureen Comey was running the United States District, since Damian Williams, who was appointed, all these people were appointed by Democrats. Maureen Comey was appointed by Democrat, right? I told everybody in this channel, it was a lot of evidence, video, files, footage that was left out of this case. But the one thing that kept coming up was Donald Trump's hotels names and Diddy's having these freak-offs in those hotels. Well, Donald J. Trump, in my opinion, what would be the best way for him to find out all the information that was left out of this case? I have my own man that I appointed that has access to look at all those files, all those videos that was confiscated. You don't think it was nothing on all those videos that was confiscated? No, they only gave you a piece in court. See, everybody says, oh, these was lies, they were celebrities and stuff. Jay Clayton, who was assigned as the new U.S. District Attorney in the Southern District of New York by Donald J. Trump, now has access to all of that information that was not presented in court that had connected to this file. He has access to every single file, every single video, and everything because he has been appointed to run this thing by Donald J. Trump. He can see everything, even things that were not presented. This is horrific news for Sean Diddy Combs because a lot of things were left out of this trial. They were in the pre-trial paperwork. They were redacted. They were left out. Last night, in the last hour, in this filing by the United States Department of Justice, the DOJ, Donald Trump's DOJ, not only have they demanded that Sean Diddy Combs not be released, but Donald Trump's DOJ and Donald Trump's new attorney, new United States attorney in the Southern District of New York, last night in the last hour, states that they want to reject Diddy's bail. He's a flight risk, and that they are seeking significant higher sentence than what they originally thought would be around 5 years and 3 weeks or 3 months. This was signed by Donald Trump's guy last night. Donald Trump is not a stupid man. I have to say, man, having your own guy appointed that's overlooking this Diddy case with all these files that wasn't even put in this case, all these videos, Jay Clayton, respectfully submitted Jay Clayton. Jay Clayton now has access to every single thing that you and I and everybody else didn't see in that Diddy trial that was not presented. Video evidence, text message evidence, evidence pertaining to Diddy's life. Remember, Diddy's lawyers complained that they confiscated everything. The Judge Summeranian, omitted a lot of evidence pre-trial because Diddy had good lawyers, and his lawyers got some stuff, a lot of it, I should say, X'd out because Diddy wasn't being directly charged with that during this case. That's why they kept saying he's not being charged with domestic violence. Diddy wasn't charged with domestic violence. Diddy wasn't charged with those guns with defaced serial numbers. What legal security company would have guns that have to be defaced? That's illegal. No legal contracted security company will go through that type of risk. Right? And once again, Donald Trump's hotels were brought up in these freak-offs multiple times during this trial. Now, Maureen Comey, she gets fired. And now Donald Trump's guy, Jay Clayton, who's overseeing this case, last night, not only now does he have access to every single file that was not put in this case, he has access to all the videos that were not put in this case. Everything. So now he knows what the feds have confiscated across the board in this Diddy trial. He knows how deep the feds' investigation was into Donald J. Trump. Why? Because he was appointed by Donald J. Trump. In my humble opinion now, I don't think that Donald Trump ever had a thought of giving Diddy a pardon. I don't think he ever had that thought. If Trump wanted to pardon Diddy, he would tell Jay Clayton, look, fall back and let him get a little pat on the thing and, boom. Jay Clayton, in his writing yesterday, which I'm going to present to you today, and this is the thing people are forgetting about, and let me say this. Let me say this, because it needs to be said. People have been running around saying, oh, man, Diddy going to get a slap on the wrist and said the third. Blah, 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 he's going to get out, boom, 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 boom. The man Donald Trump just appointed said, nuh-uh. That's not the case. We're going to hit Sean Diddy Combs with the whole meal. He's facing up to 20 years. And everybody says, oh, well, the judge has to go by guideline sentencing. I told you, United States district judges have extreme power. As you can read on your screen, Judge Armed Submarinian has the authority to impose the maximum sentence. This is why I told all of these buffoons that come arguing with me, know your role and shut your mouth. It's all on the judge. The judge has the authority to impose the maximum sentence for Sean Diddy Combs, who was convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution in his 2025 federal trial. Each count carries a statutory maximum of 10 years in prison, meaning Diddy could face up to 20 years if the sentences are imposed consecutively. Now, here's the catch. They don't think Diddy will get the full 20 years. But they also didn't think that Diddy would get his bail rejected after he was found not guilty on the 2 charges that he was facing that had life sentences attached to them. But let's keep going for shits and giggles. As you guys can read it on your screen. The judge's discretion. And this is the part of the law that I just don't come on YouTube running my mouth. I actually come with paperwork. Judge Submarinian has wide latitude. And this is what happened when I show y'all the paperwork again, because I'm breaking it down, because I had so many people come at me overnight asking me, they was confused. Judge Armed Submarinian has wide latitude. I'm breaking up. Hold on. I get you right. I'm breaking up. Hold on, y'all. I get it right. This ain't nothing. Y'all hold on. We get it right back. Smash your like button. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing on a string from Burger King, baby. There we go right there. Judge, armed submarinian, has wide latitude to consider factors beyond the guidelines. Let me repeat that first line again. Because, see, some people have to understand how to read paperwork and have to understand the law. I don't just come on YouTube just saying stuff, man. Study to show thyself approved. Judge, armed submarinian, has wide latitude to consider factors beyond the sentencing guidelines. Everybody keeps saying, oh man, all you gotta do is go by the guidelines. No, he don't. He can give Diddy 20 years if he wants. And this was presented in the filing last night. He can give Diddy up to 20 years. Judge Submarinian has wide latitude to consider factors beyond sentencing guidelines. And people say he ain't going to do it. So you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. He rejected his bail when everybody thought he was going to get bail after he got found not guilty. They all said Diddy was going home, and that nigga went right to jail. He didn't hold Diddy in there to let him walk. Now, Judge Submarinian has wide latitude to consider factors beyond the guidelines, such as Diddy's character, the nature of the offenses, and evidence of violence presented at the trial, e.g., testimony from Cassie and Jane about abuse. While he could impose the full 20 years by considering, he could still consider acquitted conduct. See, this is what happens when you got a bunch of niggas that don't know the law and run around here talking about somebody capping. Them niggas ain't read the paperwork, nigga. You always got to read the fine print when you come around ticket. You always got to read the fine print. That way you know I'm not hating. I'm just giving you the facts. All these legal minds are saying, oh, man, ain't no way he's going to give him 20, man. The sentencing guidelines, this and the third. These are the same people that said there was no way that Diddy was not going to get put back in jail after he got acquitted. They said, oh, he's going to get bail. Between that morning and that night, all the legal minds was on social media saying, oh, yeah, Diddy finna go home today. He going home today. The judge walked in the courtroom, bail denied. The whole courtroom gasped, like, what the hell is going on? What? Bail denied? Huh? What? Bail denied. That's when Diddy's lawyer started screaming like Aretha Franklin there. Oh, please. Oh my God. Remember? Dragging on the judge's robe as the judge walked out the courthouse. He said, man, listen, man, your client was in the batterers program. That wasn't even present. I left that out. The jury didn't even hear all that. The judge know what's up. The judge know all the shit that's in the details that the jury did not hear because he left it out. That's why you guys got to understand, bro. When I say stuff, bro, I'm not hating. I'm telling you on the paperwork, my nigga. Right? Let me repeat this again. Read your screen. While he could impose the full 20 years. See, people thinking the judge just got to, he just got to go to the sentencing guidelines. No, he don't. And I'm going to prove it to y'all in this paperwork today. The judge has a wide latitude to consider factors beyond the guidelines, such as Diddy's character, the nature of the offenses, and the evidence of violence presented at the trial. Do y'all not see what I'm saying? Do y'all not see what I'm saying? Do you not catch my drift on what I'm telling y'all right now? I'm trying to present this to y'all in the best way possible. Right? Read that again. Reading is fundamental. Judge Armstead Moranian has wide latitude to consider factors beyond the guidelines, such as Combs' character, the nature of offenses, and evidence of violence presented at the trial, e.g., testimony from Cassie Ventura and Jane about abuse. While he could impose the full 20 years by considering acquitted conduct, those words are the most important words that Diddy could never want to hear. That in his sentencing, even though he was acquitted of those two main charges, the judge can still consider the conduct of Diddy, even though those two main charges were acquitted. Why? Because the judge have seen all the other files and videos and casework that he helped leave out of the actual case. Let's keep going. E.g., racketeering or sex trafficking allegations under a preponderance of evidence standard. Now, legal experts have deemed that this is unlikely that he'll give Diddy 20 years. But they were the same legal experts that said that Diddy was getting bail as soon as Diddy was found not guilty on the two key charges. And they were all wrong about this judge. And now, the same ones who push this narrative that Trump is going to pardon Diddy, not going to happen. Because Trump fired the woman that was running Diddy's case, Maureen Comey. And now the man you see on the right-hand side of your screen, Jay Clayton, that's the guy that Donald Trump hired to replace her. And the man that Donald Trump, Jay Clayton, just hired to replace Maureen Comey, who dropped the ball on the Diddy case, this man has come out last night and stated that they want bail rejected for Diddy, that Diddy is a major flight risk, and that they are pushing for a much harsher sentence than the 5 years they originally presented. They also spoke about all of the violent acts that Diddy committed that they will be presenting in their sentencing guideline letter to the judge. So what's your point, Ticket? The point is, if Trump wanted to soften the blow on Diddy, the man he hired, Jay Clayton, on your screen, right there, to run this whole case, he would have came out yesterday and said, oh, we're not going to push that hard. We don't have a problem with Diddy getting bail, and we're going to push for the minimum sentence. That's not what Trump's guy did last night. This was a proverbial slap in the face to Diddy. Read the letter. Read the casework. This is not hate. This is facts. Read the screen. This came out late last night. You can read the date at the top of the screen. It's filed on the 31st. And it was filed around 11:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night as the clock ticked out because yesterday was the deadline to file this paperwork against Sean Diddy Combs. And everybody was wondering what was going to happen because Maureen Comey was fired. So they had to be afraid that Diddy was going to walk because Trump appointed his guy. You don't appoint your guy to then shit on his ruling and overrule him. Not going to happen. In my opinion, Trump appointed his guy. Trump heard his name come up with that hotel stuff and all those freak-offs that happened in that hotel. You got Diddy's former bodyguard running around here saying that him and Trump used to meet at the hotel and have long meetings in them rooms and stuff like that. And I believe that Trump put his own guy in here, not only to make sure they stick it to Diddy, but I believe he put his own guy in there to see all of the evidence that wasn't included and to see if the feds were investigating him along with Diddy as a part of that case for superseding indictments. See, once these people have all the evidence that was confiscated and they know everything that's in the files, and if Trump wanted to pardon Diddy, he could have did it already. Trump could have pardoned Diddy the day he was found guilty. He hadn't done that. In fact, he did the opposite. He hired his own guy. And his own guy last night took the shovel and buried Sean Diddy Combs. Read the casework. Dear Judge, armed submarinian, despite this court's clear ruling that the defendant must be detained pending sentencing following his conviction of 2 felony counts, the defendant moves again for bail. As the court correctly found after written and oral submissions by the parties on July the 2nd, 2025, the defendant's detention pending sentencing is mandatory. There are no exceptional circumstances justifying his release. And even if there were, the defendant cannot demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence that he is not a danger to the community. Further, following the court's ambiguous ruling, the defendant now seeks relief without even attempting to demonstrate a reason for reconsideration. Because the defendant's motion fails to demonstrate any of the required showings, he fails to carry his burden, and the motion should swiftly be rejected. This is why, when you're on my level, you read all the paperwork. Trump, very smart. You put your own guy in there. You already heard about all the rumors. Trump knows in his heart whatever his relationship is with Diddy. Roger Bond said that Diddy and Trump would meet all the time. They'd have 4 or 5 hour meetings alone while the security would wait outside talking at the Trump hotels. Then you hear in the trial that Diddy had a lot of freak-offs at the Trump hotels. Trump, very smart. Get Maureen Comey out of there, a political enemy of mine that may have seen stuff in these files and could try to come at me. And get Jay Clayton in there. Get my guy Jay Clayton in there. That way Jay Clayton can go ahead and, scratch your back, scratch mine. Tell me what's in those files that we didn't see. What's in all those videos we didn't see, Jay? What does this guy really have? How much footage? What else? Because you think that if all he had was those freak-off videos when they took over 20 TBs of video? Nah. That's only what they showed y'all in that case. If Trump was going to soften the blow, him putting his guy, Jay Clayton, to replace Maureen Comey, his guy would have came in and made it easy for Diddy. Like, nah, we agree. We gonna give him light sentence, let him roll. Probation, we cool. Nope. He came in last night. Trump's guy, Jay Clayton, was appointed as the acting U.S. District Attorney in the Southern District of New York by President Donald Trump. Oh, man. But wait, ladies and gentlemen, there's more. There's more. You see that part right there? And I'm not going to read this entire filing to y'all. You can go read the entire 11 pages. But let's go to page 10. Start at the top. The defendant's claim that his violence against Jane was somehow provoked is disgraceful. This is Donald Trump's guy saying this to the judge. These motherfuckers think Donald Trump will get this man a pardon. The guy that Trump just appointed annihilated Diddy. He annihilated his ass last night. Read the paperwork. The defendant's claim that his violence against Jane was somehow provoked is disgraceful. Moreover, the fact that the defendant committed this vicious attack just 3 months prior to his arrest, and no, this is not for optics. This ain't for optics. This ain't no, let me say that, let me answer that to that brother in the comment section. This has nothing to do with optics. See, it was so much evidence collected in this case and things that was not even prosecuted. Donald Trump could not see all this stuff when Maureen Comey and these people are running this investigation. But now what happens? You put your own guy to run the investigation. What happens when you put your own guy there? He gets privy to all the case evidence, all the shit that wasn't put in the court. His guy gets to reveal everything. And now his guy knows other targets the feds may be going after. His guy knows if the feds were investigating links to Donald Trump. His guy sees and knows everything. His guy knows testimony Diddy may have given to the police or to the feds or his lawyers in certain hidden writings or filings and stuff that we never saw before. Gotta use your brain. When Diddy crossed Donald Trump, that was the worst thing he could ever do. Because if he has nothing now physically to hold against Donald Trump, and now Donald Trump's guy is in here burying Diddy. This is Donald Trump's guy burying Diddy. Read, let's keep reading the paperwork because I'm going to show you something. Moreover, the fact that the defendant committed the vicious attack, I'm on the second line, y'all, just 3 months prior to his arrest, and while he was unambiguously aware that he was under federal investigation, highlights, as the court concluded, a disregard for the rule of law and the propensity for violence. Paragraph number 2. The defendant contends that he does not pose a danger because the trial record does not reflect acts of violence by the defendant between 2018, when he ended his relationship with Mrs. Ventura, and 2024, when he viciously assaulted Jane. As an initial matter, the defendant's violent attack of Jane and his years-long proclivity towards violence against Mrs. Ventura and others is more than sufficient to establish his dangerousness. But the defendant's suggestion that he went several years without inflicting violence on another person is simply Not true. The defendant did engage in several acts of violence between 2018 and 2024. Although this evidence, and they blacked it out, and after the blacked out part, it says, although this evidence was not presented at trial, the court is free to consider it in assessing Diddy's dangerousness. See United States versus LaFontaine 210. Recognizing that proffers are permissible both in bail determination and bail revocation context. The defendant's extensive history of violence and his continued attempt to minimize his recent violent conduct demonstrates his dangerousness and that he is not amenable to supervision. The defendant utterly fails to establish by clear and convincing evidence, as required, that he does not pose a danger to the community. What is the benefits of Donald Trump keeping Diddy down? For one, Diddy can't get out and potentially go other places where he may have other information that's hidden somewhere on certain people to use that to pull strings. So by Donald J. Trump getting all of the evidence, seeing all of it that's been presented in this behind the scenes that nobody ever saw in the main public because this stuff didn't hit trial, he gets to have privy to investigations that may have been going on, secret investigations, links, all of these things, because now his guy is controlling this. Let me give y'all an example. That's like if I'm supposed to be friends with one of my buddies. My buddy is going against trial, but I hire a man that buries him. That's not helping my buddy. That's destroying my buddy. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did. Because read this. The defendant is a flight risk. The defendant, now think about this. Why would he be a flight risk? And to the person who says, bro, give it up, he's coming home. Okay, buddy. I'm not even going to get mad at you. I'm going to let you sit there and talk all that shit. And then when that nigga don't come home, I want to see the tears. I want to see the excuses. I want to see oh, this isn't fair. I want to see it. See, you could talk that talk, but I'm going to read that paperwork, Playboy. The defendant is a flight risk. This is what Donald Trump's guy wrote last night about Diddy. Donald Trump's guy, who he just appointed to oversee this case. Think about this. Why would they even be talking about Diddy being a flight risk? Why would Diddy need to be a flight risk if he was going to get minimal time, probation time served? There'd be no reason for Diddy to even want to run. They're saying this because they're getting ready to hit that nigga with the long meal. The defendant is a flight risk. The defendant also fails, I'm in the first paragraph, to establish by clear and convincing evidence that he is not a flight risk. The defendant faces significant penalties for his crimes of conviction. Read this again. Look at what they're saying. The defendant faces significant penalties for his crimes of conviction. Everybody was like, oh, he got convicted on the lesser charges. Nigga, that nigga faced up to 20 years, nigga. Once again, read what I said. To the person who says, I recall you screaming he going to jail for life. If the judge get that nigga 20, nigga, that's damn near life, you dumb son of a bitch. Now get the fuck out of my channel, you stupid ass boy. You a dumb ass boy. Diddy's 56 going on 57 years old, you idiot. If the judge hit that nigga with 20, that's life. What the hell is wrong with you? When I say life, nigga, for an old nigga, 25 years, nigga, that's life. In a banger, nigga, in a federal penitentiary, nigga, that's life. You can't even come out and do the OJ shit. OJ came out, how many years OJ had? Once he came out, how many years did OJ live after he got out? Answer that question. How many years did OJ live after he got out of prison? Hold on. OJ was, see, oh, it was OJ when he died. Hold on. Let's look this up right now. I'm on it, y'all. Hold on. Y'all press one in the comments. Y'all can hear me. I know y'all can hear me. How old was OJ when he died? Let me see. OJ was let me see. Yo, somebody in the comment section tell me how old OJ was when he died. OJ was 76 years old when he died. If Diddy does 20 years, if Diddy does 15 years, then he'll be 75 years old. So the person who said I got this case all wrong, no, I didn't. The jury got it wrong. The judge gonna get it right. The jury got it wrong. The judge gonna get it right, nigga. And I'm showing you the setup right here. So OJ got out of prison. OJ was like free for like how many years? Think about this now. When OJ got out of prison, we all thought OJ was in good shape too. We did not know OJ was dealing with that shit he was dealing with, right? Let me see. What year did, hold on. What year did OJ get released from prison? Let me see. OJ got released from prison in October of 2017. Didn't OJ Simpson die last year? Didn't OJ Simpson die last year, y'all? Didn't he die? Didn't he pass away last year? He passed away. To everybody who said OJ had cancer, bro, that's the thing you don't understand. It creeped up on him. Nobody knew OJ had that. OJ was out here playing golf, chilling, laughing, and joking. OJ died suddenly, just like that. Boom. What are you talking about, dog? He deteriorated suddenly. He was over there doing the show with Cam and Mace. Everything was cool. Then 2 weeks later, we heard he dead. Nigga, be quiet. R.I.P. to OJ. He got 7 years. OJ got out when he was 69 years old and lived 7 more years and it was over with. You talk about Diddy potentially going to prison. until he's 75 years old. And if the judge wants, until he's 76 years old. Y'all niggas crazy as hell. And people in here, this is the reason why I'm telling y'all he's not getting a pardon now. It's clear he's not getting a pardon. Donald Trump appointed this new district attorney who buried Diddy last night. This is the thing people got to understand. It was Donald Trump who appointed this guy. Donald Trump fired Maureen Comey and appointed Jay Clayton. Jay Clayton last night says that not only does Diddy not deserve bail, he says that they're going for a harsher sentence than what they previously stated. Read the paperwork. The defendant also fails to establish by clear and convincing evidence that he is not a flight risk. The defendant faces significant penalties for his crimes of conviction. As raised in the government's July 2nd, 2025 submission, the government's initial view was that the defendant's guideline range was 51 to 63 months. The government is continuing to assess the sentencing guidelines and expects the appropriate guideline range will be substantially higher. The possibility of a substantial sentence, such as in this case, is a significant factor in assessing the risk of flight. That means they're going for heavy time on this nigga. Moreover, the defendant's endless financial means, coupled with his demonstrated ability to conceal his crimes, his past efforts to bribe security guards, as well as his general disregard for the rule of law described above, serve collectively to create a substantial risk of flight. Now, to all the people who think he's coming home, get your hopes up. I hope you do. Because Donald J. Trump's new district attorney of the state of New York, Southern District, just said that they finna hit that nigga with the whole meal. Accordingly, the defendant has also failed to demonstrate clear and convincing evidence that he does not pose a flight risk. Our conclusion? For the foregoing reasons, the defendant's motion should be denied. Respectfully, Jay Clayton, United States Attorney. And who was Jay Clayton appointed by? None other than Donald J. Trump. Signature got dry last night on that paper. Late last night. Donald Trump's own guy says, nah, man. Nah, man. Nope. Read it. It's right there. It's right there. You see? Jay Clayton. That's Donald Trump's guy. Right hand side of your screen. Donald Trump just gave Sean Diddy Combs the Stone Cold Steve Austin the two middle fingers, kick to the stomach, and a Stone Cold Stunner. And he said, DTA, don't trust anybody. Oh, man. And these idiots think that the judge is going right on Diddy. These idiots think that the same judge who rejected two $50 million bails is now all of a sudden going to say, Diddy, I love you, man. You're free. In the Donald Trump situation, Donald Trump kills two birds with one stone at the same time. Kills two birds with one stone. Donald Trump gets all the information that wasn't presented in this case through his guy. He gets to understand everything. Also on all those other videos that wasn't presented, anything that may have had to do with his name, because his hotels came up numerous times. All of that. And he gets to bury the guy who tried to bury him, Diddy, when he said that Donald Trump should be eradicated. Right? This is not me saying this. This is in the legal filings. Go look it up. Go read all 11 pages of what Donald Trump's man just said about Diddy. Go read it. Don't believe me. Believe the paperwork. And to the person who said judges can't be biased, excuse me, sir, it's not about biasness. The United States District Judge, R. Submaranian, he has the full authority to impose the maximum sentence on Diddy. And it's all at his discretion. It's all at his discretion. Judge Submaranian has a wide latitude to consider factors beyond the guidelines. So to the person who says, oh, he has to go by the guidelines. No, he don't. Jackass. That's why I showed y'all this, and I showed y'all the filings last night from Donald Trump's man, who said that they want the judge to consider all these other things. And they showed cases where it is permissible in these instances for the judge to consider even things that were not convicted. Read it again. Judge Submaranian has a wide latitude to consider factors beyond the guidelines, such as Diddy's character, the nature of the offenses, and evidence of violence that was presented at the trial, even if he wasn't convicted. Testimony from Effie and Jane about abuse. It says while he could impose the full 20 years, this is what part people forgetting. He could give that nigga 20 and can't nobody say shit. While he can impose the full 20 years by considering acquitted conduct. Think about this. Diddy's lawyers know this. And they also presented, I forgot to tell y'all this. The reason why Diddy's not going to get bail, his lawyers filed the paperwork 13 days too late. Donald Trump's man pointed this out yesterday in his writing too. I didn't put it on the screen. Diddy's lawyers, they were not expecting the judge to deny Diddy's bail, so that they were not prepared. They filed their filing 13 days too late. Oh yeah. You're going to hear that in the media today too. As I always tell y'all, if the left one don't get you, the right one will. And to the person who says, I don't think Trump cares, I think he does. I think Trump is a very, very, very big guy on loyalty. And if you cross Trump, Trump will slice you up. And did he cross Trump? And Trump will never forget that. You better believe that. Because if he wouldn't, then why in the blue hell would Trump hire his man to come take Diddy out and make sure he's going to serve hard time in federal prison? Once again, Donald Trump fired Maureen Comey, but he hired Jay Clayton as the acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York this year. And now Jay Clayton, Donald Trump's appointee, has just said, no, we don't want Diddy to get bail. And the original sentencing guidelines we were looking at, nah, throw that out. We're going to raise that up a whole lot more. Anybody want to bet bail is denied again? Then the only hope they'll have is to run around YouTube saying, oh man, but Trump is going to pardon him. Now when he put his own man to bury him. Like, share, subscribe. See, that shit that make their soul burn slow. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why I always tell y'all, this stuff I show y'all on the screen, it's not lies. The judge, he fell away in my opinion, because the judge left all of this stuff out of the trial. The jury never saw any of these things that was in the pretrial casework. Remember all these files I showed y'all? Remember all these paperwork, all these other victims. Remember all these cooperating victims I showed y'all? That was in the pretrial paperwork? Remember, I showed y'all all this pretrial paperwork. Right? Right? See, Diddy's lawyers, he had some good ass lawyers. Diddy had some good ass lawyers. I want y'all to think about this. He had some good ass lawyers, because look at what the government had to fight against, what Diddy's lawyers are doing in the pretrial. Read this. Although the defendant, and they're talking about Diddy, slings plenty of mud about non-statutory victims' accounts. And that was the key that helped get Diddy off. Because Diddy's lawyer said, hey, judge, you cannot allow this to be put in this case because Diddy's not on trial for those allegations. They weren't within the statutory. Read it on your screen. The judge agreed. Click. And all that evidence, all those other witnesses were taken out of this case. That's why it didn't go to court. And that's why Diddy can't sue if you're telling the truth. It's right there. I read all the paperwork. Although the defendant slings plenty of mud about the non-statutory victims' accounts, that means that there was all those victims I told y'all about that they were going to bring to court to corroborate. Because see, this is what they did to R. Kelly. And this is the difference when you have money and you don't have the money to fight it. Diddy had the money to fight that. R. Kelly didn't. So they used all these other people who were non-statutory victims in R. Kelly's case. Go back and look at R. Kelly's case. That helped R. Kelly get convicted. The government tried to do the same thing to Diddy and it backfired. Because Diddy's lawyers, he had smart enough lawyers to find loopholes and got the judge to agree with them on certain charges, on what was going to be presented and not. Right? These were all non-statutory victims who were not involved in this case that were going to come testify against Diddy in court about alleged crimes that had happened to them. I told y'all this. There was a whole list of them. Here's the list. Here's the same write-up. There was a whole bunch of different victims that they was going to have come in and testify to all of those things that was blacked out to corroborate the victims they already had that was within the statute of what they were charging Diddy for. The judge marked all that out. That's why I told y'all. The judge, the one. I was all in this pretrial paperwork. If you wasn't in the pretrial paperwork, you won't understand nothing. You'll think niggas just coming on YouTube hating, talking shit. That's not true. That's why I told y'all the judge seen everything. He know all the shit that's in the casework, what made it and what didn't make it. That's why when he goes to do his sentencing, that shit could get personal. Because the judge could have felt like I gave them enough info to find that nigga guilty. They found him innocent. So since they found him innocent, but they still found him guilty, I can come hit him. That's why you had dudes who had already been locked up by the feds saying that the judge gonna hit Diddy with the full 20. Because they feel like that the jury didn't get it right. And the judge has the discretion to use it. People don't understand. The judge has the discretion to use acts that Diddy was not even convicted for against him in sentencing. Like, share, subscribe, study to show thyself approved. Donald Trump's guy last night taking over this case and buried Sean Diddy Combs. Like, share, subscribe. Hey, I really appreciate you guys for supporting the channel, supporting the network. Like, share, and subscribe. Once again, there are links. Get the free membership on our website. That way you guys won't miss any of our news update stories or videos. They're all on the website, ticketvmedia.com. You go over there. You can go right to the members part and become a free member. That way you guys will get all the updates. Also, straight drought weight loss formula. Make sure y'all go tap in and copy some of that, as well as subscribing to our podcast show. Link will be pinned at the top of the chat down there below. And also, we just appreciate all y'all who support the channel. Cash App, PayPal.